Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Science with Mom and Jay. Today we're going to be talking about density. So in class we've been working on density and how it impacts our understanding of the materials that we're working with, what kind of substances they are. So we've been working with identifying unknown substances, and as of now, there are two metals that we were unable to identify. So in this case, what we're going to do is understand how to identify a substance using density. So density is a characteristic property of a substance. What that means is no matter how much or how little of a substance you have, the density never ever changes. So first of all, looking at the formula, density is equal to mass over volume. That is the parent formula. There are different permutations of that formula depending if you're looking for mass, if you're looking for volume, or if you're looking for density. Very first thing before we even begin to explore the formula is you need to understand that units are extremely important. Okay, and the reason for that is because when you are working with a formula, if you know what your units are, the chances of you setting it up improperly are very, very small. So the unit for density is grams per cubic centimeter. The unit for mass is grams, and the unit for volume is cubic centimeters. So of course, if mass is grams and volume is cubic centimeters, it would stand to show if it's mass divided by volume, it would be grams per cubic centimeter. Now, what does this mean? Well, let's say we have 1 cubic centimeter of aluminum. Okay, so you have a perfect 1 cubic centimeter cube. That means that that cube would have a mass of 2.7 grams because the density of aluminum is 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. To expand upon that a little bit more, let's say we had a large chunk of aluminum, and that large chunk was cut into very small 1 cubic centimeter cubes, perfect cubes. Each and every single one of those 1 cubic centimeter cubes would have a mass of 2.7 grams for that cube. If we were to take the relationship between the mass and the volume of that large chunk without cutting it up, so we were to mass that large chunk and we were to take the volume that that large chunk, the space that that chunk takes up, and we were to divide the mass divided by the volume, we would get 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. So it is a characteristic property of a substance, meaning that no matter how much or how little you have, it never changes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some density problems. And this is so you understand how to calculate density. Okay, so the first question, it says a block of aluminum occupies a volume of 15 milliliters and has a mass, of 40.5 grams. What is its density? So the way I like to do this is I like to do givens and then to finds. And I think it's important to write this down because if you are just reading through the question quickly, it is very easy to get thrown off with the question and as a result put your units in the wrong place. So here we have given is a volume of 15 milliliters and a mass of 40.5 grams. Now, 1 milliliter, okay, and this is important to note, 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cubic centimeter. So a 1 cubic centimeter block would displace water or any fluid by 1 milliliter, okay? So this could actually be also represented as cubic centimeters. But we're gonna leave it as milliliters for now. So here the question is asking to solve for density. So the to find is density. So the formula is D equals M over V. So density is equal to 40.5 grams divided by 15 milliliters, and that equals 2.7 grams per milliliters, or 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. Okay, both of these are correct. Okay. The next question is a little bit familiar to you. This is actually off the worksheet that was due today, and the reason I want to go over this is because quite a few people were having trouble with the way in which the question was worded. So it is also solving for density, and the question says a student measures the mass of an 8 cubic centimeter block of sugar to be 12.9 grams. What is the density of the brown sugar? So once again, our to find is density. So they've given us mass. Okay, so mass. Now, the way the question is written, a lot of people were reading the mass was 8 cubic centimeters. But if we're paying attention to our units, mass is grams and cubic centimeters is the volume. So if you're looking at the problem correctly, it says the mass of an 8 cubic centimeter block is measured to be 12.9 grams. So they were identifying which block. They weren't saying that the mass was 8 cubic centimeters. The mass is actually 12.9 grams. And the volume is equal to 8 cubic centimeters. We are finding density. To find is density. So once again, density is equal to mass over volume. It is 12.9 grams divided by 8 cubic centimeters, and that equals 1.61 grams per cubic centimeter. The next question I want to go over, in this case, we're calculating volume. So it says calculate the volume of a liquid with a density of 5.45 grams per milliliter and a mass of 65 grams. So they tell you they want volume, so your given is mass of 65 grams and density of 5.45 grams per milliliter. And again, grams per milliliter and grams per cubic centimeter is the same thing. So, in this particular case, we are finding volume. So we could do it one of two ways. We could isolate the variable by taking the parent formula, or we could use a little triangle I gave you in class. So since we're solving for volume in this case, we're going to block out the V. Volume is equal to mass divided by density. So it is 65 grams divided by 5.45, excuse me, grams per milliliter. And that gives us $11.93 grams per milliliter, or grams per cubic centimeter. And the last problem I want to go over actually shows you how to calculate mass. So the question reads, find the mass of 200 milliliters of benzene. The density of benzene is 0.8765 grams per milliliter. So you have your given, which is volume of 250 milliliters, and density, which is 0.8765 grams per milliliter. So to find is the mass. So using this same triangle that I showed you, we're going to go ahead and put the volume back up. Now we're crossing out mass because that's what we're looking for. We're hiding mass. Mass is equal to density times volume. So mass equals density times volume. It is equal to 250 milliliters times 0.8765 grams per milliliter. Okay, our milliliters cancel out. So that is 250 times 0.8765. And that gives us 219.13. grams. So hopefully this helps. I was aiming to show you how to calculate density, mass, and volume, how to isolate the formula, and always, always, always remember to use your units. If you use your units, it'll be much easier for you to see whether or not you're making a mistake early on. So I hope this was of help in helping you understand how to calculate density. And if you have any questions, go ahead and hit me up on my Instagram feed. It is ScienceWMamaJ. You're welcome to ask any questions there if you need any assistance. And I look forward to hearing from you. Take care and have an awesome day.